We'll get two perspectives from two leaders on current issues facing our society. Good morning. I'm Attorney Karen Jimeno, and this is At the Forefront. In his last term in Congress, Representative Jonathan Keith Flores now leads the Committee on Dangerous Drugs. How does he plan to steer the committee's priorities amid the complex landscape of drug concerns? And what other issues does he seek to address? With us this morning is Bukidnon's 2nd District Representative, Jonathan Keith Flores. Good morning, Congressman Keith.
Good morning, Attorney Karen.
Well, let's start with you being the chairperson of the Dangerous Drugs Committee in Congress. What are your top 3 immediate priorities for this 20th Congress?
Well, we would like to revisit the amendments to the Dangerous Drugs Act, which has been passed in the 19th Congress but did not make it in the Senate. So we'll probably refile it and then focus on that first.
What type of amendments are you considering?
There were several, no? There were several amendments that were proposed in the 19th Congress, which passed naman sa amin, but unfortunately didn't make it sa Senate.
Can you give us an idea? Does this have to do with the offenses themselves?
No, not necessarily the offenses, but marami yung point out dun ng previous committee ni Congressman Ace Barbers. But I have to go over it first, and then pag i-refile, we will work on it. Another thing would be strengthening the PDEA also as an institution, the prime institution na should go after the drug syndicates, no? Medyo kulang kasi yung nila, yung budget, number of persons. So, yeah, that's what they were asking about.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on also modifying the penalties when it comes to certain types of drugs, like yung mga perceived to be lesser evil forms like marijuana?
Yeah, well, there have been discussions about that now kasi they've always been saying na yung penalties that we give out are so extreme eh.
Yeah, exactly. So like, for example, it's based on the weight. So pagka may nakuhulihan ka ng certain amount of marijuana, katumbas lang niya yung penalty kung kasing dami ng shabu, for example. Pero di ba shabu is considered more dangerous?
More dangerous, yeah. So ano nga, ang problema nga natin is sometimes we give out lengthy penalties and then hindi naman siya, it's not really curing the problem. So it's still there. No? In fact, some would say na problema pa rin until now na ang problem ng drugs. No? So even if we give out the stiffest penalties, ganun pa rin ang problema.
Well, what are your thoughts on the recent incident last week where someone was supposedly caught taking marijuana in Senate?
Oh, yeah. That's very unfortunate. No? I think they should really investigate that, no? Because as public officials, dapat kami yung una magpakita na we're not using drugs. No? In fact, the House regularly conducts random drug testing. No? In the 19th Congress, I think we did 5 random tests sa House. And there were about more than 500 persons involved in those tests. No? So,
and that's an initiative of the House?
Yes, sir.
Because
yes,
during the time of former President Duterte, nagkaroon ng random drug testing for most government agencies. Palagay niyo po ba dapat ituloy yun?
Yeah, I think so, no? Para at least lang to keep everyone in check. Para at least alam din nila na every now and then checks could be conducted para hindi sila mag-stray kung sa so to speak. No?
Well, in the House po ba may nahuli with this random drug testing?
I didn't know about the results, but I know that they did 5 tests in the 19th Congress.
But you say na dapat yung mga public leaders ang mauna when it comes to showing that we're drug free. And what are your comments on certain people always asking for the president to take a hair follicle test?
Well, I think he already did one test, di ba? Before it was determined na negative naman. But to publicly call him out, siguro, it's a different thing. Eh. Parang sinisingle out mo yung president who showed naman na negative yung prior test niya. So, well, that should be at the option of the president, not because somebody called for it.
There was also a bill that's been filed to legalize marijuana. Is that moving forward in Congress? Ano na pong status nun?
It moved in the 19th Congress. No? I know it passed sa committee level. No? But it was medicinal use, yung medical use of cannabis, not the recreational use of cannabis. So, sa akin naman is if we take the experience of other countries, no, na it's allowed naman na yung medical use lang of cannabis. I think that should also be studied in the Philippines.
And the part of, in the 19th Congress, the Quadcom was headed by Congressman Ace Barbers. How will the Quadcom 2.0 differ from the previous Quadcom?
Well, the Quadcom is 19th Congress was created because the different committees investigating different things parang found out that it's all interrelated. So,
so that was drugs,
yes, human rights, public
yes.
accounts, and public order.
And extrajudicial killings, I think, was also part of what they were investigating.
Yes.
This time po, meron bang mag-iiba doon sa mga ini-investigate?
I know that there is already a call to reconvene the Quadcom, but as to what exactly will it be investigating, hindi pa determined.
Okay. Are they considering to include sabong? Or
Isabong, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. As of now, wala pang pinag-usapan na anong direction.
Well, at that time, si Congressman Ace Barbers, as the chairperson of the Dangerous Drugs Committee, was also, seems to be heading, also was the chairperson of the Quadcom.
Yeah.
Will that also be the case for this Quadcom?
No, I think we have to determine muna kung sino yung maging lead chair ng sa Quad Committee. But not necessarily that dahil drugs ako din. No, hindi po.
And you mentioned kanina strengthening PDEA. With respect to the entry points in the Philippines of dangerous drugs, you have the air and then of course the sea.
Yeah.
Ano po yung mga naiisip yung measures to strengthen policing these areas?
Ang
entry
problema
points?
kasi natin is because of ang shoreline natin, ang haba eh. Di ba? Ang haba talaga. So, it could be anywhere that they could use us as entry point. So, kasama na rin dyan, hindi lang yung PDEA, but including our Coast Guard, no? That should help patrol these areas kasi shorelines ang ginagamit ng bagsakan ngayon. In fact, that's one of the things that I wanted to raise with the PDEA nga, that they were saying na yung mga nahuhuli nila is increasing. So my question was, is it also because there's an increasing demand for it in the Philippines? Bakit ganun yung number of kilos na nahuhuli nila? In the first 6 months ata, it was more than the past few years na nahuli nila.
So is it increasing or baka gumagaling din yung paghuli and they're more equipped now to detect yung mga pumapasok na illegal drugs?
That's one thing that they were also saying, no, na because mas grabe na yung participation ng mga tao, yung nagre-report na, kaya marami silang nahuhuli. But ako gusto ko ring tingnan kung tama ba na sinasabi nila na is it less number of users ba? Less ba ang demand? It's just that the supply is just there because I think it's gonna be related somewhat. No? Hindi pwede na they just be making drugs kung wala naman silang pagbentahan dito sa Pilipinas.
And meron din pong increasing na mga nahuhuli illegal drugs coming from Africa. What accounts for that? And kumonti na po ba yung mga galing China?
Ang western coast natin, yung mga binabagsak sa shorelines, usually shabu yan. Ang sa eastern coast naman, the southern east coast of the Philippines, cocaine din yung nahuhuli doon. Because I think it's where the route of the boats, no? Kung saan galing yun sila. So, China ba sa east? West ba is east galing South America? Ang west naman is China. So these are things that should be studied also by PDEA. Second is yung mga African syndicates na may pumapasok din sa drugs. I think it's more of the fact that they see may vulnerability sa system natin. Meaning, pwede pang pumasok. So, siguro we need to act on that din also.
Okay, and right now we'll talk about other current issues and we'd like to get your straightforward opinion on each one of them. So, first, we have the anti-political dynasty issue. And you filed a bill on anti-political dynasty. How do you reconcile this bill with your own family background in politics? You're the second generation in your family to enter politics.
Well, I'm not trying to reconcile it. I'm just trying to give life to the constitutional provision that says there should be a law defining what political dynasty is. Diba? So, if it affects me, then it's gonna affect me or my family din. But it should be at least man lang defined, di ba? Kung ano yung political dynasty. That's what the Constitution demands. So, whether or not it's gonna have an impact on me and my family, I'll have to live with it. No,
So okay lang po sa inyo. Wala naman sinabi yung mga
no, they didn't say anything naman.
your family about this.
No.
But do you think personally, may pag-asa tayo magkaroon ng anti-political dynasty law considering the number of people involved in politics na may mga pamilya?
Slim ang chances, but at least somebody has to do it, no? At least try man lang na to file it and see where it goes, no? If it gains traction, then mabuti. If not, I hope somebody refiles it in the next Congress.
Yeah. Well, there has been a petition filed in the Supreme Court to force Congress to act on finally passing a law on anti-political dynasty. Do you think that should give the extra push to make this happen?
Yeah, I think that will also be helpful, no, in pushing the members of the House and the Senate to finally, define what political dynasty is.
And you're on your last term, but for the 2028 elections, napapag-usapan nyo na ba sa pamilya ninyo kung sinong magsasucceed or if there is someone who will run for Congress in your district?
No. Wala namang usapang ganun. But my brother is a city councilor, but I don't know if he's interested. If he's interested, then fine, no? But he should win first.
Okay. And you authored a bill seeking to abolish PAGCOR and privatize its self-operated casinos.
No, I didn't file a bill about abolishing PAGCOR. I filed a bill about disconnecting the e-wallets from the online gambling applications.
Okay, so nothing on PAGCOR.
No,
So
no,
mali
no.
ato tong research namin dito. But now that GCash and PayMaya have removed their links in online gaming apps, do you think this move is enough to curb online gambling addiction?
Well, it's a move in the right direction, but it's not going to stop online gambling addiction. No, I would like to, of course, thank the BSP for finally acting on it. No, ang dami ng problema that was been caused by online gambling. No, and hindi tama na the platform which supposedly provides financial inclusion is also going to be the platform that will put into financial harm the people using the platform. No? So dapat separate talaga. Where you save, invest, or buy things should not be the same platform that will be used to bet. No.
And do you think that meron pang mga additional measures that would be effective to stop addiction to online gambling?
Ang hirap kasi because ang Filipinos are parang
Part of the culture ba?
yeah, parang inclined talaga on gambling eh, no? Even election results nga, they bet on it eh. 'Di ba? So I don't know really how to address that problem. Ang akin lang is like if ever people do gamble, let's not make it easy for them, no? At least man lang don't put the money where gambling also happens, no? Like let's say yung e-wallet mo, nandun din yung gaming applications.
Parang diabetic na laging nandyan lang yung mga
Yes, may
cookies
sugar.
and chocolates sa harap pa talaga nila.
Yes, oo.
But you also publicly urged a lawmaker who was watching Isabong during a session
Yes.
in Congress to own up and apologize. How important is decorum in plenary sessions for lawmakers?
Well, if you look at us kasi, yung nakikita mo nyo sa TV, diba? Everyone's just going around, not necessarily listening nga, minsan sa mga long speeches. But iba din yung siguro nanonood ka ng sabong while the session is ongoing. If you do it in private, that's fine, no? But if nakakita ng mga tao sa likod mo that you're in the plenary and then you're doing that, that sends a very wrong signal, no, to the people din.
Nagkaroon po ba ng sanction to the congressman involved here because of this incident?
Not that I know of.
And you've been appointed as a member of the prosecution team of VP Sara Duterte's impeachment. What's your take on what happened to the case based on the Supreme Court's decision?
Well, there's a motion for reconsideration that's been filed. It was made pretty well, no? And when I read it, at least it shows there that there were some siguro factual matters na mali yung appreciation ng Supreme Court. And hopefully, by giving it a second look, they would siguro reconsider their decision. No? And if they do so, I think that's the best, no? That is the best move. Para at least man lang, we will find out din ano din yung mga defenses ni Vice President. And she openly said naman na she wants to present it at the proper forum. So if she does, then at least the people would know kung ano din yung mga sagot niya.
Should the motion for reconsideration be denied by the Supreme Court, naka-ready na ba ang Congress na mag-file ng isa pang impeachment in February 2026?
I think we would have to wait and see until February kung anong gagawin. No? Nandun yung sentiments ng majority of the members of the House.
During my interview last week, we had Senator J.V. Ejercito here, and he was saying parang hindi maganda ngayon ang relationship between Senate and Congress. Totoo po ba yan? Nararamdaman mo ba yan? Or nakikita mo na hindi okay yung relationship right now?
Siguro sa interviews, but when we're together, like I was with Senators Gatchalian, Joel Villanueva sa Malacanang last week, it was okay naman. Hindi naman cold or something. But sa labas kasi, pag interviews, iba din eh. Like you'd see some members of the House and you'd see some members of the Senate issuing statements na medyo masakit din. So siguro that doesn't help the situation, no? Na mapag-ayos natin yung dalawang houses. But I think that's part of the functions din.
What about insinuations based on the speech of Senate President Chis Escudero na merong nagde-demolition job sa kanya at yung nagde-demolition job is from Congress?
Well, I think that's a very unfair statement, no? Kasi it was an article naman made by a news outlet, no? So for you to say na it's a demolition job coming from the House, and I don't think it's right then.
Okay. And you're among the signatories of the Maharlika Investment Fund Bill in 2022. What's your take on allegations that the fund is a tool for corruption and political influence?
No, hindi naman siguro tool for corruption yun or political influence. But I would really like to know how the fund is doing. I think they owe it not just to the House and to the Senate, but to the Filipino people to show if their investments made an impact at all. Diba? Kasi that's what they were selling the idea. Na if we have this fund, it will help us economically. Diba? So gusto ko rin makita, where did it go? Where did it lead us? Is it still worth pursuing? Diba?
Nag-report na po ba ang Maharlika Fund? I think people are curious,
Yes,
exactly
no.
like what you said. Kamusta na yung performance nila? How are they doing? The SONA didn't mention the Maharlika Fund. So, would you know ano na pong status? Or aren't they required to report at some point?
They're required to report. No, I just don't know when. But I think they should do so. Not just for the House and not just for the Senate, but for the people talaga. Na at least malaman nila na it's where it was invested, how is it doing, diba? Is it baka online gambling applications din invest, just like what yung nangyari sa GSIS. Diba?
Yeah. So what is your comment on that with what happened to GSIS? Dapat ba may liability doon for investing in online gambling?
I think risky investments like that, and when you're dealing with parang pera, pension fund ng mga government employees, is something really foul din for me. No? I think you should go for the more safer investment opportunities na makikita niyo. Because pension yan ng mga government employees and they spend years contributing to that fund. No? Ang tinan mo ano nangyari ngayon, ang mga value of that investment na ginawa nila is bumagsak because of the bills that were filed in the House and in the Senate regarding online gambling. Diba? So, malaking kawalan din on part of the people na ganun ang nangyari sa perang pinaghirapan nila for the longest time.
Would you know if magkakaroon ng congressional inquiry into this matter?
No, I don't know about the Committee on Banks and Financial Institutions if they want to pursue that. No, but if there is, then he should answer to the people din, to the government employees na whose fund he is responsible for. No.
But if I'm not mistaken, yung binili po ng GSIS na block of shares also comes from someone in Congress with, is that correct? From Congressman Albi Benitez?
Or is it his pag-divest niya ba?
I think so.
I don't know.
But,
I don't know about Congressman Albi. But I know he divested daw from DG+.
Okay, yeah. So I'm curious about that. Kung sakaling meron ng involvement with someone in Congress if this matter will be looked at in Congress.
Yeah, medyo bugbog ngayon ang house. It's
Sunod-sunod
always
kayo
like
issue.
everyone's referring to the house.
Yeah. And okay, so your comment on criticisms that your proposal to divide Bukidnon to 5 legislative districts is to also keep yourself in power.
I can't keep myself in power because I'm on my last term.
Yeah.
But
Even if you divide it into
yes, even if I divide it into
districts, no?
7 districts or 6 districts, no,
Yes.
it's not that. No? What's important is that people get the proper representation. Kasi lugi din ang Bukidnon if we keep just 4 districts na lumalaki yung population.
Maybe you can explain that to the public. Ano po ba yung reason? Bakit kailangan siyang damihan ng districts?
Yeah. So, well, a congressman has parang uniform yung allocation namin regardless of the number of districts. So, if there are more districts that will cater to the lesser number of people, then mas malaki yung mabigay mong mga projects to the people that you represent. No? Another thing is that Bukidnon is one of the remaining undivided remaining provinces na hindi pa na-divide. Yung iba, divided several times na. But Bukidnon is one intact province from the time of its creation pa rin. So, I think that it's proper also na sa laking probinsya na yun, dapat may tamang representation din na makukuha
So
yung mga tao.
this is based on the growing population in Bukidnon.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so another issue, flood control. So during the SONA of the President, sinabi niya, mahiya naman kayo.
Yeah.
Did you feel at that time na you were being alluded to kayo as Congress?
Well, I think everyone was alluded to, no? Na hindi lang the House, hindi lang the Senate, but including the implementing agencies, no? Na kung pangit yung trabaho, of course, we have to somewhat own up to it and be responsible for the things na kung saan pumupunta yung pera ng taong bayan, di ba? And one of this is the issues on parang pangit na flood control, yung hindi natapos na flood control, etc., etc. But yun nga, that's where I think na it's kind of unfair din, no? Na it's always the House that is parang the favorite whipping boy when it comes to the flood control. It could be proposed by anyone naman, including a senator, di ba? Including the DPWH themselves, kung sa tingin nila kailangan talaga may flood control na projects doon.
In your experience, sa Bukidnon po ba, may mga flood control projects?
Yeah.
And how are they implemented? I mean, in terms of yung quality na nakikita nyo?
I don't have anything to do with checking on the quality or...
Yes, I mean, but as someone who lives in Bukidnon,
well, we still
walang
need more,
issues?
no? Siguro kasi there are still areas that are flooded, but during the heavy rainy seasons lang din. It's not like every time it rains, may baha doon. So, we don't need it as much as the other provinces siguro, or as other areas. Ang question naman doon is like, how come other areas get this amount and the others don't, no? And then, is it tama ba na siguro pag plan out where to put it? How to most effectively use the minimal resources that our government has. So, kasi ang problem on flooding, it's always gonna be there unless you have siguro isang malaking cohesive na plan talaga on how to address it. Lalo na sa mga urban areas like Metro Manila. No?
Sa Bukidnon po ba, bahain din siya or certain areas? Because you have relatively high elevation.
Yeah, certain areas like the rice fields, usually nababaha yan because it's right next to the rivers nga. Mag-overflow yan. No? Siguro, because of the rivers na becoming silted, erosion from the mountains, kasi even now, yung mga hilly areas, tinataniman na rin. No? So, may topsoil erosion talaga.
Well, Senate will start their Blue Ribbon Committee investigation on flood control projects this week.
Oh, okay.
Meron po ba magiging investigation din sa Congress? Apart yung sinimulan nila Terry Redon as, I think, from the head of Infrastructure Committee.
Momo?
Yes, I mean, for Terry Redon, yung investigation niya on, I forgot his committee, yung...
Public accounts.
Public accounts, yes, sorry. So, itutuloy po ba nito ng Congress? Or would you say na yung sinabi ni Majority Floor Leader Sandro Marcos na dapat independent body, ano yung mangyayari po sa investigation on flood control when it comes to Congress?
I don't know how many meetings Terry has held about flood control, but I only saw portions of it from the news. But with the statement coming from the Majority Leader na parang hindi tama na kami yung mag-investigate, na kami din yung parang inaakusahan that had a hand in these anomalous projects. No? So, siguro tama din na to give it up to somebody else, no? Para independent. Because anything that they'd come up with right now, people will just say, you're just covering up for your fellow
the
members,
optics,
di ba?
yeah.
Pangit din tingnan eh. So, siguro para wala nang masabi yung mga tao, then give it up to somebody else who could investigate it without being tainted as something that's used to cover up the actions of a few members.
Well, as a lawyer, do you think kung meron man involvement yung someone from Congress or Senate, na mapoprosecute talaga sila? Because Mayor Magalong made a good point when he said that yung mga gumagawa na ng kalokohan are usually not in the paper trail because they don't sign anything, they're not the signing authority. What we expect na signing authority would be people from DPWH and then syempre on paper din ang involved would be the contractors themselves. So what's your take on that as a lawyer?
As to who should be responsible?
Kung may kaya bang lagyan ng liability, yung mga involved na wala sa paper trail, yung mga walang signing authority pero talagang nakatanggap or let's say kumuha ng kickback.
Yeah, if you follow that parang argument no, na dapat then the persons who implemented it or who were coerced or ordered to do something illegal should be the very first persons who will say, I was ordered by this person. That's the only way to link them eh. Kasi other than that, walang participation dapat eh, di ba? Other than the fact siguro that they requested for it or identify the areas where the project will be implemented. Pero ang hirap mong i-connect eh, na siya mismo ang nagsabi na itong this much should go back to him or something like that, or it should be this contractor that should be given the project. That's very difficult to prove, no? But siguro the only way na ma-establish talaga natin yan is if the contractor themselves would say that I gave this much to this person or I was ordered to do this instead of that. No, like let's say instead of this thick na cement, ito lang ang in-order sa akin. But there has to be some ano din because DPWH is supposed to be the agency assigned to check on this work eh. 'Di ba? So marami talagang masasagasaan kung if that's gonna come out.
Yeah. And Congressman Keith, based on your last term in Congress, ano po yung mga priorities nyo for your district in Bukidnon?
For my district is the establishment of a DOH-run hospital because our province does not have a DOH-run hospital. And it's really one of the major problems na encounter ng mga residents namin is where to get the proper medical care from a government hospital. No? Kasi it's expensive pag sa private eh. So they really prefer the government-run hospitals. Ang problema naman with the provincial hospitals that we have is that they simply cannot keep up with the operational expenses. Eh. Ang laki ng probinsya namin, ang daming tao, and the finances or the budget of the province is simply not enough to cover the medical needs of our people. So yan talaga ang one of the priority bills that I filed na we should have at least one man lang DOH run in the entire province because that's one big province na walang DOH run hospital.
And are you confident na maggagawa po yan bago matapos ang term ninyo?
Well, I would really try my best to have it passed in the House. That's all I can do. But so whether or not the Senate will act on it, I'll just hope that they maawa naman sila sa mga tao sa probinsya ko.
Well, kanina po, before tayo mag-on air, you were mentioning you were considering na mag-retire.
Oh, yeah.
Ano pong legacy ang gusto niyong iwanan for Bukidnon?
No legacy. It's just that I hope that they find that I serve them well. Siguro. That's it. No legacy building or structure or nothing like that.
Well, finally, since minention niyo po na itutuloy yung Quadcom, when can we expect the Quadcom hearings to resume?
Right now, everyone's busy with the budget. So it's going to start today. And the organizational meeting of the respective committees nangyayari na rin. So it might take a few more weeks before Quadcom, if ever there's going to be a meeting.
Yeah. And magiging online na po ba yung budget process? Like Speaker Martin
Speaker
mentioned.
said that lalo na yung BICAM will be opened up now for the public to see.
Okay. Thank you so much, Congressman Jonathan Keith Flores. It's such a pleasure to have you
Thank
here.
you for having me, Attorney Karen.
We'll have veteran journalist Tony Lopez when At the Forefront returns after a short break. Welcome back at the Forefront. Veteran journalist Tony Lopez has been a vocal critic of online gambling landscape in the Philippines, using his newspaper columns to highlight the social and economic consequences of the industry. How does he see meaningful reforms that can curb these challenges while protecting vulnerable Filipinos? Joining us this morning is veteran journalist and CEO of BizNews Asia, Tony Lopez. Good morning, Tony.
Good morning, Karen.
So let's start with your criticisms against online gambling. What specific incident or series of events prompted you to write so critically?
Based on the testimonies at the Senate hearing last Thursday, it's really a pernicious habit or racket. People are addicted to it because Filipinos by nature are gamblers.
Talaga, hindi ba unfair statement yun sa mga iba na kinig? That's not true.
Jose Rizal himself, the national hero, was a gambler.
Was he? Ano pong nilalaro
He
niya?
won the lotto twice. It was called wetting during his time. He won first prize lotto twice. With his winnings, he was able to buy land in Dapitan, where he went into exile. In his other winnings, he donated money to charity, to his friend in Hong Kong, and to buy more properties. So that's our national hero. So if it was good for Rizal, it must be good for us.
Well, but stories
Kaya lang,
like
what
that,
makes it bad or worse is the presence of digital platforms, of mobile phones. Mobile phones become, in effect, mobile casinos, wireless casinos, cashless casinos, and fortunes are being lost, and fates are being decided, and people get to die.
Pagka tinanggal na yung connection between the payment platforms and online gambling, what yung sinimulan na ngayon na gawin?
Unang-una, I don't think you can
palagay niyo kaya
disconnect the two Kasi it's essential now You cannot once you disconnect, it will go underground.
Parang ang sabi nila ngayon, tatanggalin na raw yung links. Links meaning, kung ikaw yung payment platform, you can't go from there to, wala na siguro parang na-advertise.
Walang
But then,
na tatanggalin is the ads.
pero pagka, I remember listening to the hearing and they said, nung pinapasagot yung mga payment platforms, they said they will look into yung
Kasi if you
kung
remove
kayang
the links to the local platforms, no, like GCash, Paymaya, the foreign links will take over. And you cannot regulate the foreign links in the same way that we cannot regulate Facebook.
Pero hindi ba mahirap gumawa po ng account pagka foreign payment platform?
You can reach anywhere in the world right now.
So what solution do you see?
The solution, they say, is, quote-unquote, stricter regulation, which means it will be dominantly government-run, regulated, supervised, operated by government itself. Diba?
So parang
government
PAGCOR,
cannot make mistakes.
Yeah, parang PAGCOR type for online
Parang
gambling.
PAGCOR.
In your opinion, you think that's sufficient to curb itong...
It's not sufficient, but how do you do away with gambling? Filipinos are by nature gamblers. In fact, every election time, they gamble their fortune with their politicians.
Oh, well, that's
And
a
most
good
of the
analogy.
time, they
yeah.
lose, diba? They lose, diba? We get bad politicians, corrupt politicians, pernicious politicians, diba? Selfish politicians, politicians with impunity. Kaya nga, ang gulo-gulo natin because of those politicians. If you eliminate politicians, I will believe that we can eliminate gambling.
but yun, so you're saying mahirap, hindi talaga magagawa.
Hindi mo yan
Pag
marinig
ano.
ang gambling.
But parang pag sinabi mo, we can't eliminate politicians. So, hindi rin ba kaya
Unang-una
eliminate
kasi
yung...
so many people are idle. Diba? Right now, on the gambling platform, are about 40 million Filipinos.
Ganun na ba kadami ang
60% of adult
gumagamit?
Filipinos.
Yeah.
6 of every 10 adults are into gambling.
Yeah.
Or
But they're
gambling
not
online.
really idle per se. Kasi meron naman dito, kaya nga yung ibang naririnig
Kasi
natin
kung busy
kwento.
ka doing something productive, why do you gamble?
But meron
If you
yung
have a
nagkwento, jeepney driver,
economically
di ba?
viable enterprise
Yeah.
or job, why do you need to gamble?
Yeah,
Diba?
but I think that's a problem, Tony, kasi merong iba na may trabaho, like meron ako na nabasa na yung nakita niya raw na nagda-drive sa kanila sa jeepney,
Nabangga
nagsascatter.
siya? Nabangga
Hindi
siya?
naman, nagsascatter habang
In fact,
habang nagda-drive.
driving alone is gambling eh. Di ba?
Ikaw naman, kung ganun, marami na talagang
we are
bawal
really
lahat.
gamblers. We are really gamblers. And I think we are among the best gamblers in the world. Oo. Kasi
Bakit naman
alive
the
pa tayo after so many, since when were we founded? 1898? After more than
1898 is when we became
a
supposedly
republic, the first
independent
of-
from
that's
Spain.
What, more than 124 years, di ba? We're still alive. Actually, if you come back to it, we should have stayed put with the United States. And we could have had a Filipino-American president, like Ferdinand Marcos Jr. He is better than 90% of U.S. presidents. Biro mo yun?
Better
Instead
than 90% of
U.S.
presidents?
presidents, yeah. Man for man.
Talaga? That's your
Oo,
assessment?
Mga kaliga yan siguro. Sina Lincoln, Jefferson, Washington.
What about Theodore Roosevelt?
Mga
New Deal?
Roosevelt, dalawang Roosevelt.
Okay, bakit naman? So, ngayon nalilihis tayo, pero bakit ganun kataas ang assessment mo for President Bongbong Marcos?
Ferdinand Marcos Sr., hindi naman Bongbong.
Okay, so I thought you're
Bongbong
talking...
Marcos still has to prove himself. Masyado siya mabait to be a very stern leader.
Bakit
Masyado
mo
siyang
sinasabi
mabait.
pong
Yan ang
mabait?
nasa personality niya. He cannot be subject to so much stress. Although lately, he has become a bold president. No?
In
He has
what
gone
sense?
after the contratista. The contratista today are the new political and economic elite.
Bakit?
Huh? One family makes what? 1.6 billion a year. One family. Nandiyan sa Pasig, they make 1.6 billion a year. Kasi sabi ni BBM, 59 contractors got 15 contract got 100 billion. 15 divided by 100 divided by 15. That's about 6.6 billion per family.
But hindi naman equal yung
Now, if you look
distribution
at
ng
the
projects, di ba?
interlocking ownership of these 15 companies, there are effectively only about 10 companies owned by 10 families. So 100 billion divided by 10 families, that's 10 billion per family in 3 years, ha?
Well, here's
so
my
10 billion
question.
divided by 3, that's 3.3 billion per year, per family. And divided by 3 again, kasi 3 years daw di ba? That's 1.6 billion per family.
Yeah. Well, I have some reservations in terms of just doing a rough division na kasi may variances siguro in terms of the number of
parang
projects
yan
among them.
Parang gambling din yan You do averages.
Averages. Okay. So,
Averages.
but here's my question. What about yung mga construction companies na may links sa mga Congress? And some people say, well, nag-divest na yan nung pagkatakbo. Pero we know that sometimes
In the
that
first place,
divestment is
our
superficial.
contratista construction companies are not doing anything constructive.
In what
In
sense?
fact, they are disruptive and destructive.
Pero kung
Hindi
contractor
nila ginagawa
ka,
matino ang projects nila
Oo, but if you're a contractor, aren't you just complying on paper dun sa mga requirements ng government agencies like DPWH and there's supposed to be COA that does the audit? So kung meron tayo mga...
Teka, tapusin muna natin yung
Online gambling. O, ikaw
Online
kasi...
gambling. Pero
ikaw
tapusin
rin
ko na
nag-iisip.
yung
Pero let's
kontratista.
finish this. Oo. So bakit sila ang sisisihin lang when in fact we have a system that enabled all of these ills, meaning yung mga
Alam mo,
kalokohan.
kung mabait ka o decente kang kontratista, maski gaano ka stringent a requirement or no matter how warped are the demands of the politicians, it is your legacy or name at stake.
Yeah, pero
so,
kung
gagawin mo yan ng matino para sa bayan yan
yung mga kontratista po,
Dito kasi,
hindi na nanalo
while
sa contract.
palpakan mo, there is what they call a repeat business.
Oo nga po. Pero di ba,
Boy, gawin mo na lang uli.
Oo, pero pagka
Walang
naman
pinag-iba
matino,
yan sa panahon ng ng Lahar Dikes ni Cory Aquino. Every year, nasisira yung mga dikes. 10 billion ng 10 billion. Nagtataka si Madam Cory, bakit ba ganyan yan? Ma'am, ang lakas-lakas po ng lahar. Natatabunan yung mga dikes. Hindi kaya ng mga dikes. Palakas ng palakas. Ganyan katiwiran. Ang lakas-lakas po ng bagyo, ma'am eh.
Oo, pero talagang hindi linalakasan para paulit-ulit gagawin yung project.
Nakita mo ba yun sa TV expose? Yung sa Nauhan, Mindoro? Walang bakal.
Walang
Puro
bakal.
buhangin, oo.
So, ibig sabihin, hindi, super substandard.
Hindi ko lang maintindihan yun. Yung district engineer, patay mali. Saka batang-bata pa yung district engineer.
Ilang
Ang
taon
laki
po?
ng teritoryo nyo, may maropa.
Ilan taon na po yung
Ang bata na ito
district
yun sa
engineer?
TV.
Baka
Siguro
naman
wala pang
mukha
40
lang
yun
bata, ikaw naman.
Pero naghahawak ng billion peso. Ako, matanda na ako, hindi pa nakahawak ng 1 billion. Kontrata mo or whatever. Oo.
But sige, Tony, yun lang. Just to go back.
To gambling.
Hindi, yung dun sa, para matapusan natin yung conversation on...
Sa kontratista?
Yes, kontratistas. Paano mong sasabihin din na kasalanan nila when kung matino ka completely na you don't, as they say, you don't play the game, hindi ka naman mananalo ng kahit anong contract. So, parang same with politics, sabihin nila yung corrupt yung gustong tumakbo.
CDCP, ang tinong kontratista niya na CDCP, it used to be a consortium of large construction companies. They went to the Middle East. Nakakuha siya ng magagandang kontrata. Kasi yung isang kontratista dito, yung taga-Pasig, sabi niya, hirap na hirap kami nung nangungontrata lang kami ng bahay-bahay. Ngayon nung napatpat kami sa DPWS, doon kami yumaman. Oh.
Sinabi po talaga nila
Sinabi
yun.
niya yun sa TV.
So, do you think in this case, if we have a bold president, as you said, na si President Bongbong Marcos is starting to become bold, palagay mo ba he needs to make heads roll pati sa agency?
Ang galing niya maging bold, ang swabe niya. Kamukha yung Timothy Construction, palpakan trabaho doon sa pinatatawag niya, mag-explika ka. Oo.
But yun ang tanong ko rin, pagka ba nag-explika yun, yung kontratista, at tinuro yung mga involved sa Congress, or even government
hindi niya
agencies.
ituturo yan, mawawalan siya ng repeat business.
So
Aaminin
yun
niya
lang.
lahat yan. Sabi niya, sir, ulitin ko na lang po at no cost to the government.
So, Tony, that doesn't solve the problem here. Kasi yung mga...
At least it mitigates the problem of bad contractors.
What about the bad congressmen / bad politicians
Bad
that are
congressman,
involved?
wala ka na magagawa sa kanila unless ipila mo sila against the wall.
Or what
Pinila mo
about-
against the wall, ala Duterte. Oo.
And what about yung mga involved sa government agencies? Kasi
Yung nga, ipipila
sila
mo
rin
talaga sila. Ang solution, ipila mo sila against the wall. Oo. Ang tawag sa crime na yan, lack of due process.
like, extreme na.
Sa CIA language, you eliminate them with extreme prejudice.
Well, ikaw, you extreme prejudice, yun ba yung ginagamit sa CIA? Okay.
Di ba pag sinabi niya lang, handle him with extreme prejudice,
Ibig sabihin, hindi mo na makikita ulit.
magtago ka na, di ba? Oo.
Ibig sabihin nun, hindi na makikita.
Hindi ka makikita maski magtago sa ilalim ng Taal Lake.
Talaga. So, looking at your experience as a veteran journalist, marami ka nang nakitang mga sa government. Palagay mo ba yung
You know, I've been
magiging...
covering politics and business for the last 55 years.
more than half a century
Our politics is worsening.
worsening.
It's worsening.
Oh, so, kung ganyan po, ito, meron
You know
tayong
why
sisimulang...
our politics is worsening?
Why?
Cory Aquino has this nice idea to abolish the two-party system. Dati meron tayo nationalista and liberal party. Diba? For the party to conquer power, Malacanang, they must first conquer the Senate. So yung na MP saka LP, they would fill the best candidates for senator. Tapos by region. Limbawa, Ninoy Aquino from Central Luzon, Jose W. Diokno from Southern Luzon, Batangas, tapos Arturo Tolentino from Manila, mga ganun ba? Osmeña from Cebu. May regional balance, saka may talent balance. Kasi nung bata ako, nung high school ako, ang favorite kong puntahan, Senate paghapon. Ang ganda manood ng
mga statesmen talaga.
Kalahati ng senador po, bar top-notchers. Kalahati ng senador, bar top-notchers. And our Senate produced about 6 senators who were bar top-notchers. And they became presidents.
And ngayon, what would you say about the
Ngayon,
quality?
artista ka, pwede ka na maging presidente. Diba? I think kung ako magtitinda ng tao, mag-aambisyon ako na to run for president kasi wala na pong qualification eh. At magti-TikTok, papatawa ka lang, maski hindi totoo pinagsasabi mo, tapos na-amuse yung tao, siguro ang galing mo, gagawin kita senador. O, di ba?
Pero palagay niyo po ba,
Tapos ginagawa
nagbabago?
ngayon sa senador, ginagawang beauty parlor. Joint, you smoke something, o, di ba?
So, pag
Hindi naman ginagawa dati ng mga senador yan eh.
Palagay
Dati
niyo
the
po
worst that the
ba-
senator could do, kumain lang ng turon during session.
bawal na yon.
Oo.
Mapapagsabihan
Nakakahiya na yun. Kasi ang suot ng mga senador doon, kulay puti eh. Their consciences and their clothes were the same color. Puti, marangal, malinis.
Ay ngayon po na nakita niyo sa 2025.
Ngayon naman, kita mo naman, may fashion show sa Senado, di ba? Iba-ibang version ng barong, di ba? Oo.
But that's ano lang naman, creative
Oo.
expression. Pero kung ang question ko is, nakita niyo yung 2025 election results, midterm, mukhang meron na rin namang consciousness sa mga tao na
Yung
mag-vote. Kasi may mga
2025
natalo tayong
election,
artista. Yes.
napansin ko, galit na yung mga bata. Galit na sila. This country is populated by siguro 70% young people, 26 and below. Galit na sila.
Palagay niyo magbabago na
Kaya
yung
lang
trajectory
napansin ko sa
natin.
mga bata ngayon, ayaw nila mamatay para sa bayan nila. No? Natatandaan ko na yung batch namin, 69, 70, 71. Lumulusob kami sa Malacanang eh. O, nagkipag-abulan patintero sa mga Metrocom. O,
Palagay
mga
yung
tunay na
ngayon-
bullets yun, ha?
Opo.
Nagkipag-hide and seek. Ngayon, hindi ginagawa ng mga bata yun. Ngayon, paano? Naggagambling siya.
Ikaw
Nandun sa
naman,
GCash,
hindi naman.
nandun sa Paymaya,
It's-
nandun sa Lazada, nandun
That
sa
might
Grab.
be an
Oo.
unfair
Maniwala ka ba,
conclusion.
Grab saka Lazada, na nagrarasyon lang ng kakanin saka hahatid ka sa papupuntahan mo? Pwede ka na mag-gamble? Did you realize that?
Yeah, with the online. Oo, So bumalik na naman tayo sa online
Oo, yan,
gambling.
di ba?
So na ngayong nakabalik
Kasi
na
nga
tayo
sinasabi
doon.
ko, the life of the Filipino is a whole gamble. It's a whole gamble.
But I don't see that as a negative when you say it's a whole gamble. In a sense that
Diba?
it makes us resilient.
Kasi may harap sa yung kandidato for president, iboto mo ako, unad ang buhay mo, tapos iboboto kita, I gambled my future with you.
But kung
Not
meron
only my
naman-
future,
Oo.
my kids' future, my grandchildren's future.
Yeah, but if we have good candidates like you said in over like 50
Tapos kung
years
gusto kitang
ago.
habulin dahil nagnakaw ka o nagsalaula ka sa serbisyo sa bayan, papasok naman ang Supreme Court. Oy, walang due process yan, bawal yan. Tapos agree naman forthwith ang Senado. Oo nga, walang
O
due
ikaw
process.
naman, that's
oh.
already, well, I think for the impeachment, I suppose that's what you're alluding to. Meron ngayong motion for reconsideration, so we'll see what happens with that. But ngayon sa institutions natin, do you think na when you mentioned at least yung politics is getting worse, yung our other institutions, would you say the same thing? Because at least we have the final check from the Supreme
Yun namang
Court.
ibang institutions like the Catholic Church, no? Parang nawalan sila ng boses. They don't denounce the government. They don't denounce bad governance. Natatandaan ko nung kay Cardinal Sin, first month ng martial law, he gathered all of us foreign correspondents eh. Tapos gumawa na siya ng pastoral letter denouncing martial law. Ngayon hindi mo yan makikita sa Catholic Church natin. Alam mo bakit? They are a beneficiary of gambling.
Well, now that we're talking about beneficiaries of gambling, the Philippine
Kasi sa
government...
Bible, ang daming stake ng gambling, di ba?
Pero teka lang, bakit naman beneficiary ng gambling ang Catholic Church?
Kasi ang mga gambling operators are the biggest donors of the Catholic Church. Di ba?
Meron po kayong basis
Kasi
dyan?
tayo din,
What is your basis for
as
saying
Catholics,
that?
we also gamble our, kasi sasabihin ng pare, magdasal ka, pupunta ka sa heaven. That's a gamble,
But hindi. But when you say na nagbibigay talaga, meron ba kayong direct...
wala akong direct knowledge.
Oo.
Pero ikaw ba kung gambling operator ka, alam mo ang gambling level sa Pilipinas is reaching trillion. It's reaching trillion.
So, okay, let's go to this. Since
It's
maraming
not the
pera
biggest
involved.
racket in the Philippines.
Yeah, so
It has
kung-
exceeded drugs. Kasi drugs dati, 400 billion a year lang ang drugs eh. Ngayon, ang gambling nasa 1 trillion level eh.
So
May
kung,
estimate
kung malaking pera talaga ang meron sa online gambling, who do you think are the most powerful figures that benefit from the online gambling industry today?
At siyempre, our politicians.
Bakit sila?
Kasi kung pinasok din nila yung pagkokontratista, papasukin din nila ang gambling.
So in what ways are they
They are also the
being
biggest
part?
donors of the politicians.
Mga online gambling?
Kasi nagtatakal-takal ka lang ng pera, hindi mo naman pinaghirapan yun eh. So pamimigay mo yun easily.
And ngayon po na meron tayong, isabong
Walang
for example.
pinag-iba yan sa yung magnanakaw na hinahabol, namimigay ng dollar habang minahabol ng pulis. Di ba? Parang ganun lang yan eh.
Well, ngayon meron tayong ongoing investigation on isabong.
Oo.
Do you think na magpo-prosper yung cases against yung mga involved na figures right now like Atong Ang and even others?
Alam mo, maganda yan sa ginawa ni Duterte, siyang nagpatigil ng isabong ha. Dapat ganun, political will. Pag sinabi, tigil na yan, ganun.
Palagay niyo po ba
Kasi
ngayon?
I understand some of the gambling platforms here, yung mga ginagamit na payment vehicles, like Lazada and Grab, I don't think they are allowed to handle gambling platforms abroad. Bawal
Dahil
sila.
bawal sila doon.
Dito, ginagawa nila. Bakit ganun? Pwede rito sa abroad, hindi.
And what are your thoughts on the resignation of NBI Director Jimmy Santiago?
Wala akong masabi naman. Ang tingin ko lang, kung nagtatrabaho ka sa gobyerno, be ready to get fired any time of the day. Dapat siya magpasalamat ka. Thank you, sir. Inalaw mo. Kasi galing siya sa retirement eh. Wala na siyang dapat na i-worry na masisira reputasyon niya. Maganda naman reputasyon niya. Sharpshooter, killer, di ba? Sharpshooter na killer. Prosecutor, fiscal. Maganda record niya eh. Huwag ka nang drama-drama pa na kinakampaign ako, I'm being maligned. Ganun talaga buhay sa gobyerno.
But would you say
Get ready to be maligned anytime.
So would you say siya po napilitan lang mag-resign or tinanggal po ba siya?
I have no personal, parang sa law yan, di ba?
I'm questioning you as a lawyer.
Otherwise, magiging chismis yan. Di ba? Sa gambling, pwede ako mag-chismis, pero sa mga ganyan, ayaw kong
Pagka hindi
pakialaman yan.
specific,
Pero sinasabi ko lang, pag nagtatrabaho ka sa gobyerno, get ready to be fired anytime. In fact, you should even get ready to be killed anytime. Kasi ang gulo
Sobra
ngayon
naman
eh.
kung killed.
Talaga.
What are the government agencies do you think that are most likely complicit with online gambling?
Ayaw ko naman sabihin complicit kasi parang laissez-faire ngayon eh. Free for all. So, porque inaalaw nila, hindi naman ibig sabihin ng complicit sila. Bangko Sentral, di ba? Bangko Sentral nga noong Thursday, sabi ng isang deputy governor, ba't hindi mo kagad pigilan yan? Kasi sir, I'm allowing the gambling apps to let the money be returned to the gamblers. Alam mo, madali naman gumawa dyan ng choices eh. Return the money, ganon. It can be shut down anytime talaga. Any second, it can be shut down.
Palagay mo dapat po i-complete ban na ang online gambling?
Hindi ko masabi na complete ban eh, kasi marami ang kaibigan sa gobyerno, saka marami din akong mga kaibigan businessman na ang business gambling. You know, if you are a businessman, you are also in effect gambling eh. You're gambling with the kind of government you deal with gambling with your market, with gambling, you gamble with your consumers. Mamaya ayaw ka nila eh. Matay ka, talo ka, sabi nga nila, di ba?
So dapat
our life is a
pag-aralan
gamble
to.
eh. Our life is a gamble
sense,
eh.
our life is a gamble. That means,
Kasi papakawalan ka dito sa mundo, pwede ka umakit sa langit o mapunta sa impyerno. That's a big gamble ah. Sabi ni Lord, magpakatino ka para pumunta ka sa itaas. Diba? Pero isang mali mo lang, pupunta ka na sa baba.
well, lastly, ano pong palagay niyong role ng media in exposing itong
Ang
totoong
role ng media
score
is
behind online
expose
gambling?
the venalities of gambling, the incompetence, the corruption of agencies, di ba?
So I suppose that applies
also,
to other
our
issues.
businessman, hindi naman porke kumikita ka dyan, ito tolerate mo yung gambling. Dapat naman, you do certain things for the country. Kasi otherwise, this is your economy, this is your business environment. So you have to live by the certain standards of doing business. Yun lang po ang masasabi ko.
Thank
By the way, hindi po ako gambler. Alam mo bakit? Isang araw nung high school ako, pumunta ako sa Zamboanga del Norte, Zamboanga City. Nag-gamble ako sa barko.
Natalo ka.
Naubos ang pera ko. Wala akong pamasahe pabalik. Nanghiram ako sa kaibigan ko. From that time, sabi ko, I don't want to gamble.
That's very
Yun,
good. But you
diba?
were born in this world, so sabi mo nga, life
Oo,
is
to
a gamble. So,
In fact, even, bakit di ko naman masabi my parents gamble with me kasi di naman nila alam kung ano ilalabas, di ba? Yun lang. Oo.
Thank you so much, Tony Lopez.
Yes, yeah.
Bitin pa, but it was wonderful to have you here.
Thank you. I hope you don't invite me again.
It's a gamble to invite you. Hindi ko alam sasabihin mo.
Thank you. Yeah.
The harsh realities...
Congrats sa Bilyonaryo.
Thank
Doing
you
very
so
well.
much. Thank you. The harsh realities of dangerous drugs and the hidden costs of online gambling highlight urgent challenges facing the nation. Policy gaps, corruption, and social neglect leave communities vulnerable, while unchecked vices continue to shape lives in ways often overlooked. These issues reveal that addressing societal threats requires not just laws, but vigilance, accountability, and the courage to confront uncomfortable truth head-on. The path forward demands action, awareness, and unwavering commitment from all corners of society. Be timely informed, be insightful of the news. Always stay at the forefront. Join us again tomorrow for meaningful insights on issues that matter. This is Attorney Karen Jimeno. Thank you for spending your hour with us.